Hi everyone, good afternoon. This is Kim Ware. I'm having my office hour, and as I'm the only person here, I'll just go ahead and give my little talk about how to overcome speaking anxiety as we get started with this course. This is not a polished presentation. I was hoping for it to be more of a dialogue with some other people, but that's okay. I'll go ahead and share my piece, and if anyone has any questions, just let me know. So you're standing to speak. Your breath thickens, your palms are sweaty, and people are looking at you like lots of eyeballs in the room. And then, wait a minute, big gulp. What was I going to say? That has happened to me. I used to do theater, and I've done a lot of public speaking. And one time I was in the middle of a very long monologue, and I just totally blanked. I had no idea what to say next, and then I said, and done. And I made some excuse to leave the stage and go collect myself and figure out what was going on. And the good news is that this class is not about theater. It's not about memorization. It's about public speaking. So let's talk about how what this is. So when you're getting ready to speak, weird things happen, right? Your palms get sweaty, your breath might quicken, you can actually feel your heart rate start to pick up, and all of a sudden you've got nervous energy, so you wobble a little bit, or maybe you walk across the stage, you start pacing. Sometimes you might feel nauseous. It just depends on where your level of anxiety falls. If it's lower or if it's higher on the threshold, these weird things start to happen. And the good news is that we can overcome these weird things, and we can continue to get better. And one of the ways we do that is considering our power. It is highly unlikely that someone's going to ask you just to speak and stand up and get a 5-minute off-the-cuff presentation, unless you are someone who has power, and that power can come in the form of having expert power. You actually know something about the subject, or you have a title that would make you needing to speak. Like if you're in a meeting and you are, say, the chairman, or you're the teacher, or you're the parent of the child that we're having the meeting about, any of these things, you have a certain amount of power. People generally aren't going to ask you to speak on something that you have absolutely no knowledge of. So you can rest in the fact that when you are asked to speak, whether you have time to prepare or not to prepare, you probably have more to say than you think that you do. And you probably have more knowledge than you think that you do. So what I'm saying to you right now is that you are worthy, you are capable in whatever arena someone asks you to speak in. And I would say that about anybody. If you're having just a conversation with your friend, you could easily share the same thing with a friend as you could with a group of people, because you have the power of some sort of knowledge base that allows you to speak. So going along with that, when you do get time to prepare for speaking, so much of the comfort level that comes from speaking is in your preparation. Knowing what it is you're going to talk about, having your main points covered and figured out. I'm not talking about writing a manuscript, but I'm talking about developing an outline, knowing the flow of your presentation, and being able to give yourself tips in advance of where you're supposed to go when you're speaking. And all of that will build your comfort level insofar as what you're going to say. For example, if you'll notice on my screen here, I have the word preparation. I have keys. The key to being prepared is what? Preparation. And this is a trigger for me. This is a cue. So I know, oh, now I'm supposed to talk about preparation. I hope that makes sense. Are there any questions so far? If there are, feel free to jot them down and let me know. I'd be happy to talk with you and visit about that more. So after you get done preparing, what makes for more comfort? There is practice. And I have 2 pictures up here for the purpose of capitalizing on the idea of practice and then the idea of breath. So we're going to feel more comfortable with our material because we have power, right? We have knowledge to go along with that. And then on top of that knowledge, we've prepared. We know what we're going to say. We have an idea of how we're going to say it. Now we just have to practice. So we have, you see those weights all stacked up there. We have these building blocks that we're working on to help us be able to speak and to speak well and effectively. So how should you practice? You should practice on your own first. You could look at yourself in a mirror. You could just sit down and go into your closet, go into your bedroom, sit on your couch. Find a place to practice on your own to start to get an idea of the flow, of your rate, of your tone. If you have maybe points lined up beside each other that maybe don't work, maybe try switching them around to make better flow. And then after you've done that practice, I always recommend leave it. Just leave it for a little bit. Don't come back to it. Don't keep thinking about it, because from what I understand in the brain, what happens, for instance, my daughter plays piano. So she practices something, it's really, really hard for her. And she's worked on it. She goes to bed at night and she sleeps, but the next day she gets up and it's easier than it was the day before. Why? Because her brain is continuing with that sense-making process, and it's helping connect those dots of muscle memory and understanding while she's sleeping, so that when she practices the next day, it's better, it's easier. So practice. After you get done practicing on your own, you've left it alone for a little while, maybe ask someone that you trust to listen to it. Ask one of our classmates. And that's the cool thing about this class, is that this is your science lab. You get to practice without judgment. There hopefully isn't anything hinging on the speeches that you give in this class, on these presentations. You don't have a job that you have to worry about getting let go of. You're not trying to apply for something that's super, super important. This is your practice space. So feel free to try new things. Feel free to mess up. Feel free to just do your best. And that's what I ask of you, and that's what we ask of each other, is to do our best. So along with the practice, the other final point I want to talk about today is the idea of breath. And there are other things we could talk about related to speak anxiety, but the idea of breath is so, so important. Breathe. Before you get ready to speak, breathe. Take a breath. In between points, don't hesitate to breathe. All your points will come, all the words will come, that you must breathe. A simple in your nose, out your nose, in your nose, out your mouth. Breath does an amazing thing for calming the body down. All that adrenaline you feel is your body producing a chemical to tell you that it's okay, that you can settle down. So bringing breath into that process will help you do that. So those are just a few key points for today. In the end, we have power. We prepare and we practice, and that helps us reduce speaking anxiety. One note about practice too is that it's not just practicing the same thing over and over again. It's these different speaking occasions where we continue to build our repertoire and we get more and more comfortable with our speaking voice and with our presentation style that allows us to come into the speakers that we're destined to be. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Let me know. I'm here for you. Bye.